I've had the Canon EOS R6 for 3 months now. Here's what it's been like. So, I bought the R6 as a video camera, so that's what this video is going to be about. Video. What got me to buy the R6 was the fact that A, I love Canon, and 2, Canon had yet to have a 4K video camera that also had in-body stabilization. And so the R6 and its sister camera, the R5, which is slightly more expensive, was the first Canon camera that has IBS and 4K. Now I'm not actually holding the camera because it's what's filming this video, so things to note. But I just wanted to talk about the pros and the cons, and if I think the pros outweigh the cons, and if this camera is worth it. So first, let's talk about the pros, which are basically just its specs, but they're pretty big pros to me. So first, it films 4K up to 60 frames per second, which is really great for high quality, beautiful color, and for slow motion. Second, it has in-body stabilization, which has made my life so easy because it means that I'm not tied to a gimbal anymore, most of the time. Most of the time. And the third thing that I love about this camera is that it is a full frame camera. That's something I've been wanting for a really long time, and I feel like it has allowed me to fully use all my lenses. There are a ton of other pros. Those are just the 3 that have made me fall in love with this camera. So let's talk about cons now. Now there are only 2 cons that I found that are of note. The first is that the camera does in fact overheat. It seems like it only overheats when you're filming in 4K, whether it's 60 frames per second or 24 frames per second, but it does overheat. I personally have found workarounds for it. It does add an extra level of stress, but I just have to let the camera rest and cool down when I'm in the middle of a shoot or a wedding, which there's always time for it, I've found, and so it's irritating, but it's not the end of the world. The second con is that unless you want to pay a fortune for an RF lens, you have to use an adapter with this camera. Now the adapter works actually pretty great, however, the autofocus is slightly slower, and if you're like me and you primarily use autofocus, it's just annoying enough, especially if you're using a non-Canon lens, which I do. I have a 1 Sigma lens, and so the autofocus is slightly slow. In fact, it's on a Sigma lens right now. I mean, look at that, and then it takes, I mean, it's not that bad. It's just like, it's just annoying enough, but it's really not that bad. I personally love this camera. I have been waiting to film with IBS and 4K for it seems like a really long time. And so I was super stoked to get this camera. The overheating is irritating, but I am willing to work around it just to be able to use the specs of this camera. If you are willing to work around the overheating, or they might fix it, definitely get this camera. It is a great video camera. Anyways, that's it. I know it was pretty brief, pretty short, but I just wanted to get my 2 cents out there, especially because I found that it is difficult to find footage examples of the cameras that I want, and your girl just wanted to be helpful. That's it. Thanks for watching, guys.